Good morning, Hacksters. Today on the show, we have Hans Forsberg, who is a lifelong maker and electricity enthusiast. How's it going, Hans?
Fine, and you?
Excellent. Yeah, I'm really
Uh,
excited to hear about your project with the Magpies. Uh,
yes.
would you like to tell us about it?
Yeah, it all started with, as I said to you earlier, I'm a maker and I love to build stuff and I have patience. And then a few years ago, I saw magpies in my garden. They've been a pair for 20 years. Of course, it's not the same birds, but they kind of nest in a tree outside, and we like them. Some people hate them, but we like them. And I saw them opening up lanterns like this from a famous furniture company, and this quite complex mechanism, the door mechanism, and they wanted the candles, the paraffin candles. I think that's kind of rocket fuel for a bird. So I thought it started with me trying to actually capture the thing on film. So I worked with some raspberries or some, and had tried to have some trigger to don't spend all the night filming. And from that, I started to think, okay, they are smart. What can I do? Can I? And then on a dinner party with some friends, I happened to say, because we were discussing a problem, a garden problem here in at least in Scandinavia, with a special sort of slugs, I think,
Ah.
the small animals in the garden, and they eat, if you try to grow vegetables or stuff, they will eat it. And
No.
we call them killer slugs because they wasn't here some 15, 20 years ago. They got imported from Spain, we say. So I said, but I can design a system where birds in my garden will trade these slugs for food. So my friend said, okay, come on. And so I started slowly with this project, not for the slugs really, more for the challenge. And I quite soon understood that this, for once, this was a project or a hobby project where I couldn't Google it up. Almost all the inventions and patents I have and all the projects I've been working with, I mean, it's just an addition
Mhm.
to often to a well-working system, and you add some spicy thing, or you add a new idea, or there is some enabling techniques like for now AI or machine learning that makes it possible to add something to existing product, or the idea is at least not. But in this case, it was from scratch, and that was, yeah, it sort of trigged me. I didn't think of it, but I found out that this is really fun to do it on your own. But now you can Google from my
Really
side.
challenging.
Yeah.
And
So it's not often that you start from a blank sheet like that.
so I guess the magpies don't eat the slugs on their own.
No, they don't. That's the problem. They
Ah.
don't really belong in our biosphere, so they are
Ah.
important. And they have no predators. There's no.
Ah. So already you have trained them, though, to pick up the invasive predator known as the bottle cap.
Yes, the bottle cats. Initially, I started to train. Well, I think there is a video on my site showing this the training process. But I actually started building a machine that distributed food in just small portions, one nut or one dog food pellet each. And that was maybe the biggest challenge, to get this fully reliable, not jamming, working 24/7. Because since I have a 9 to 7 job, I have to, yeah, there you are. I have to, this is the first machine. So I have to work for a living. Uh, and then this had to be remote and had to work, yeah, continuously.
Hmm.
So I built this vibrating thing that I found on Thingiverse. Fantastic design from Viking, New Zealand. Yeah, there it is. And
So
made some
cool.
addition, like yeah. And I tried all this with what do you call it, that when you have a screw or something trying to feed the stuff.
Like
That's
an auger.
yeah, an auger doesn't work, and they jammed immediately. So but this is perfect. This is how they do it in the industry.
Yeah, we had the same challenge where we were trying to some people in the office were trying to dispense individual jelly beans and it kept jamming and they couldn't figure it out. So this is the real tip that I'm gonna send them from this
Yeah,
from this recording. I'm gonna be like, check this out, this is how you can do the thing.
yeah, and that's not the way you normally do it, I think, in the industry. And then so I had this, and I added the optic gate to just stop the vibrating stuff when something was falling through that optic.
Ah.
And then so this is just a kitchen shelf from IKEA
Mm-hmm.
that I just had laying around. And so I started with that, and then I distributed this free food randomly, more or less.
Mm.
So, and then I could change the random, let's say every 50 minutes, plus minus 5 minutes. And that way I could see the birds if I wanted them to put this site into their kind of patrol scheme.
Mm-hmm.
So the birds tend to fly around for current, so they check different places. So if they find food outside some hamburger restaurant or something, they will return and check. And so they have a scheme where they and quite soon I realized that they check this box really often because and if I made the interval shorter, they almost stay there. So that was a good start. And I think if anyone is interested in doing something similar, that's the way you have to start to make the site interesting and attractive.
Mm.
And then that machine it wasn't really designed. There were those fiber wood panels, so snow and rain just let down. And then I built the second generation, which is actually based on something like a mailbox. And and I put the stuff inside, and it's quick and dirty, right? Quite dirty construction. But maybe some of you is sort of working like me. You're just that eager to, will it work? Will it work? So you fool yourself with some quick connections that you will regret later when to mess with you. But so that with this second generation, the first thing I did was to create this red button, and so I had some generations of that, and that's a way. Anyway, yet another example of how cool it is to have a 3D printer. I don't know if you go to DGKey or somewhere and say, "Oh, I need a push button for birds," they normally don't find something for you. And here you can see these are the chicks. They are quite young. These birds, you see on the feathers are not fully with color right now. So and then there is a small compartment in the center of on the red button where I could put some food, and when they tried to get the food, they would of course activate the button, and the machine would buzz the vibrating stuff, and they realized, okay, that's good. And the white thing you see inside the button right now, that's a totally failed experiment that I did. Because I was starting to work with cigarette butts, and then I thought, okay, so I create a button that only works with a cigarette butt in the compartment. And so
they would pick up the cigarette butt and put it in the compartment, and then
that was my plan. So I had the little white thing inside, and then I would realize, okay, the button is working, and then I would plan to put it aside, and then I thought they would realize, okay, the white thing should be inside, but they got it all wrong.
Oh no!
That's typically me, and a chance to all you other makers to avoid that mistake, because they were messing to get the food, and at that time they most often sort of flip the white thing out by accident. But in the same accident, they most often heard the machine start to buzz. So they almost the opposite. They think that they more or less thought that, okay, we should get the white thing out.
Oh no!
So failed, and but then I made some interest with a red button or two that I moved it further away from the place where I distributed the reward. And that's interesting because that seems to be extremely crucial. So if
Huh.
I moved 20 centimeters away, that still worked, or 30, 40, but at a certain distance, it was invisible for the birds.
Mm.
And I have a sort of a male friend, a pen pal in Stockholm, a professor in this domain, who in the beginning he was more polite, I think, and answered my mail, but now we have quite interesting discussions, and he
Mm.
joined me for a show for Swedish National Radio, etc. And so we had some discussions about this with the distance, but I think it sounds reasonable that it's Darwin designed all this stuff. Then this Darwin told the birds, or the evolution told the birds, that where you kill the stuff, or where you find that little frog, or whatever you're going to eat,
Mm.
that's where the food is. So the idea of doing some action far away, and then pick some reward up, that's really far away. That's definitely not in their instinct, I think. So
Right. You have to do the action of activating the food,
yeah,
filling
I
it.
found that too when I started with the bottle caps, because I saw you were scrolling the movie, and
Mm.
then I thought, okay, let's see if they could pick something else up instead of the cigarette butts. And the bottle caps, of course, lucky accident, tend to be super. I mean, there's a lot of attention for these clips out on. They are almost viral, I think.
Woohoo.
There are
Yeah,
millions of.
it's magical. It really is.
Yeah, and of course, one key thing is that there is the recycling thing, and I didn't really think about recycling at this stage, but the bottle caps were easy to find. They have a sort of a unified size, and they are quite easy. I could quite easily design a dedicated metal detector down in this, that you see this kind of a funnel structure in the middle. So so that's a lucky accident with bottle caps. And
So you designed your own metal detector for this, right? With the Arduino?
yeah, it's down there. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but it's quite good, but it could be improved. So it's just a simple Arduino and some of, yeah, as you said, I just love electricity, and this is one of the cool things with electricity, and the electricity in a coil and the magnetic field and all that stuff. And so the inductance of this coil would change very slightly, or very little, when I introduced the bottle caps, but it's good enough for an Arduino to pick up with some additional circuitry and some code. And so that's yeah, and that's the bottle caps really came in handy. And then, as you saw, I placed them around the bigger hole, and by accident they forced them down, and that way they started to understand the correlation between bottle caps and reward. And of course, there are some magic moments when I had the first pickup from the ground, and
Oh,
yeah, that was amazing to see.
that sounds
So
so incredible.
this is, I think this is one of these moments, and these are just screenshots from the main computer, the main Raspberry. So I have a PyCam, the Raspberry, and I have created a simple GUI, you see, and so I get a timestamp log for the data. I get some questions or some queries on my channel why they think it's over-designed with a Raspberry, and then there is actually an Arduino down there at the working area. But I mean, I keep it simple, and the Raspberry is cool, but it's really not. I mean, if it's up to there, you see, it really tries to put the bottle cap where the reward comes.
Yeah.
That was it. So it,
But like you
then,
were saying, it picked it up off of the grass and brought it to the feeder.
yeah.
It's so
So
cool.
this is
But
this initial moment. Yeah, this was. And you can see on this magpie, it's not really white where it should be white, and that's because it's a chick. It's a young bird.
Oh, I thought it was just dirty.
No,
Ah,
and
wow.
then now I'm starting to realize that that was really good springtime, because these chicks, they are brave like teenagers. Almost, they walked straight into our kitchen, and but the grown up, now they are grown up and more mature. So now I have problems with these birds. They are really suspicious. So the new experiments I'm trying to run now is really much slower than before.
Oh,
The
interesting.
I showed you with you saw with the red buttons.
Mm.
That was actually the parents, the mature parent birds, and so that yeah, I needed patience because that was really slow. So slightest change, and they are super suspicious, and then they check closer and closer. It could take days or weeks sometimes, but then they're super curious. I think that goes for all corvids. They are
Mm.
suspicious and scary, but super curious and smart. So that combination is yeah, it's a, I think it's a well-working solution for humans too. Be a little suspicious, but never sort of give up and investigate from all different angles.
Sounds
But
familiar.
I wish I have the chicks now, because right now I'm doing a sort of an extended experiment where I'm trying to teach them to pick up soda cans,
Mm.
and that would be awesome to see them coming flying in with this quite big thing. So there's an addition in the working area now with a bigger hole for soda cans and another metal detector. But they're super scared. They don't go to the site when I have when the soda cans are there.
So even
So
though they grew up with your machines, these ones who started out as chicks, as they aged, they became more suspicious?
yeah, that's my opinion. Yes,
Interesting.
yeah, and I don't know for sure. And since I'm really not the bird expert, and my friend in Stockholm, the professor who is the bird expert, I mean, he's not used to this kind of questions either.
Right.
So yeah, it's a new domain. We have to find things out, and that's interesting.
It's great. It's like
Yeah.
there's so much research on human computer interaction, but not so much on like magpie computer interaction.
Yes, and I mean, I used to say I work in my professional job. I work in with sort of real world applications of AI and machine learning, and in my
Hmm.
spare time, I explore natural intelligence. So
So you're
uh,
looking at already you've been working with a Raspberry Pi connected to an Arduino that was doing metal detection, but you've talked about how you'd like to interact or integrate machine learning with
yeah,
these for the future. Yeah, can you tell us a bit
yeah,
about your plans? This is
yes,
your work too, right?
yeah. I'm trying with that right now, and you see, trying to what I need now, or what we need, if we talk about the bird training community, is some sort of general object general object detection for any purpose, general purpose object detector. And just, I mean, the bottle caps were quite easy, but imagine you would like to classify cigarette butts.
Mm.
It's not that easy, but fortunately it's super easy with a quite standardized machine learning algorithm. There's so much available on the internet, and I thought I saw you AI Vision Kit, the old thing from Google, for your parrot or your
Yes,
bird.
Archimedes the owl. He's
So, and I think I actually bought the AI Vision Kit too back in the days. I think we should
cool.
be careful with those kits, because that's what they're going to sell on auctions in 100 years. Oh, you got your hands on this limited production. Yeah, you're laughing now, but wait when your kids are selling that for
No,
fifteen
totally.
thousand dollars for an auction. I don't know, but however, I had that too, and then I went deeper into So I'm working as a consultant at a big consultancy company in Sweden. And so we have an AI team there with about 25 super bright women and men, data scientists. And will never be smart enough to understand the training of these networks and the architecture. But I love to see how to apply them. What could we do? And I also like to see how small can we make them. And it is really feasible to run a neural network on a Raspberry today. Might end up with a quite slow frame rate, depending on your network. I think your network in the AI Vision Kit is, I think it's the mobile net SSD. It's a single shot detector architecture. And that's super quick and quite good. And most famous now for small embedded solutions, I think still is the YOLO 3 or YOLO 4. But then you could add accelerators. And so this is a box. I think I'm sort of demoing in this box on one of my clips. And this is running a Google Corral. So that's the first Google or second Google initiative to create a dedicated sort of embedded hardware accelerator for neural networks. And quite quick, and it's competing with the Movidius chip from Intel.
Right.
And there are more chips coming. And so this is capable of classifying 1,000 species of bird.
Oh.
With a pre-trained network. And there are, so this is, I'm just running a demo network in this. And there are a demo network for the Google Corral classifying 2,000 species of insect and 1,500 classes of plants, I think, or flowers. So and that's trained on kind of open community. There are open communities for insect guys. So if you're into insects, there is a big, like a Thingiverse or like for insects, and you upload your photos. Maybe you're a little bit suspicious. Is this really that insect, or is it that, or is it a new species?
I'm using iNaturalist, which does something similar to that.
Yeah, that's iNaturalist. What I'm talking about. These are trained on images from iNaturalist.
Ah, cool.
Both at least the insects and the plants.
It's really good with plants. It's incredible.
So I'm now, as long as when I get some slots of time, I'm unfortunately I haven't found any pre-trained network that includes the cigarette butt. I think I have an Inception network trained for 1,000 classes from ImageNet. And these classes includes, I mean, it's a random selection. There's bottle cap. I already know how to do bottle cap. So unfortunately, there's no cigarette butts in that network. So I think I have to retrain the network myself. We know how to do that at my job. And we actually build my workplace several prototype boxes now for. So this is another smart camera based on there is actually a Raspberry Pi-ish thing inside and a wide angle camera. So this can classify 40 classes. So this can keep, so if we put this outdoors or indoor, it can track your traffic, count the numbers of cars, buses. You can distinguish between a SUV or a smaller car. And it's all embedded. And we actually, more or less by accident, found out another advantage of squeezing the network into a box when it comes to camera surveillance, because it's easier to deal with the GDPR. You know about that in the US too? We have a quite tough
data regulations. So because we're talking to the cloud,
for personal integrity and stuff like that. So but with this technology, we can actually build a system, and let's not call it a camera, but a sensor. So there are no images coming out. Only the classification of the object, the position in the image, and maybe the how certain the system is, and the timestamp. But no images. Not even if Donald Trump or someone said, we definitely no, sorry, there are no images. You can't get them out. So that's might be a workaround to make you at least at least a little bit easier to handle the GDPR.
And you could sort of auto delete them on a rolling schedule
Yeah,
if
they
you
are
wanted.
never stored, more or
Huh.
less. And we also even been thinking about using such old style and lousy communication protocols that you actually can't send the image because the data will just be really short.
Right, yeah.
So even if CIA says, okay, you better open up that box now, okay,
Mhm.
but there's no images, and they could be stored by
That's pretty
definition.
cool.
We'll see where we end up with that. But so the AI thing will be that's one path from my hobby project now is going for this general purpose object detector. And the other path is more to keep my followers happy now, to have something up and running, and that's the soda can.
Yeah.
And I introduced a thing for the soda cans just the another week, 1 or 2 weeks ago, that is almost embarrassing. But I don't know if you've seen that, but I actually put
Wait, which thing?
I put an iPad
Ah.
close to the machine where I'm actually showing the birds how to do it.
Haha! So you can see the other birds doing it, or they can see you
Yeah,
doing it.
so far it's just my arm.
They
And of
see you doing
course,
it.
the comments, they say you should have a puppet, like a crow puppet or a magpie puppet. Yeah, I don't have any, but then someone
Oh,
in
you
the
have a
comments,
3D
someone
printer.
found a magpie doll at Amazon, so I ordered one. But it's really far-fetched, don't you think? It's for the birds to see the. I mean, that's quite
I
to see
don't know. They're really smart, though.
something in abstract as an image or a video
Yeah.
clip. But if it works, I mean, then I would be famous. Then we could train on telepathy.
Yeah.
As I said in that video clip, from time to time you end up with an idea that is maybe a little stupid, but you just have to set a check in the box, right?
Uh-huh.
See that. That's why I'm doing that.
I love the idea that if
Yeah.
it... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately, the birds are scared and really suspicious now, and so I'm just trying to get them used to the turned off iPad.
Right.
So we'll see.
I love the idea that if it worked out, then you could start like a Udemy or like an online course system just for magpies. Uh,
But I mean, I really don't believe in the idea myself.
Fair.
As I said, from time to time you have ideas, just check them out,
Yeah,
and then you
why
can
not?
cancel. So who knows?
That seems to be the whole spirit of your approach to the world, and also magpies, which I love. It's great. I wish that we had more time, and I really want at some point to hear about your robotic lawnmowers. That sounds incredible. We unfortunately have to cut off now, but you mentioned that you might have updates in the future, and we would love to have you on again anytime that you're
Oh,
down.
yeah.
Well, thank you so
Okay.
much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Oh,
Stay
no,
safe.
mine. All right. Have a great evening. Bye.
Yeah, bye bye.